Welcome to Home's Room. Just like Homeroom, we start off our day getting together with our homies, swapping stories, even a little kiss and tell action. This podcast contains language not suitable for younger listeners, topics about sex and mental health. Discretion is advised. Our views are our own. Let class begin.
Welcome back to another episode of Home's Room. I'm joined by Caitlin. How are you today?
I'm doing fabulously. How are you, Matt?
I'm good. I am going to use my podcast platform to do the thing that every annoying podcaster does, and I got some random things I want to talk about at the beginning just because they popped up throughout the week, and we're going to try and stagger them. So we're going to
do it, dude.
Something that is relevant to us today, and I'm not going to I just told you why it's relevant, but I'm not going to tell anybody else why it's relevant, because the relevance of why the lesson came does not matter as much as the lesson that came from it. And that is, you are going to be the bad guy in someone's story no matter how hard you try not to be the bad guy. You may think you did everything right and still be the bad guy in their view. And as much as it may hurt, sometimes you have to accept the fact that that's the case, and you might have to let that relationship go. It's not on you to solve all of the issues. It's not on you to try and make up for it or try and convince them that you aren't the bad guy. Sometimes you just have to be the bad guy in their eyes so that they can get by in the world that they're living in. And that was a giant chunk of learning I had to do today. So wanted to get that one out there first. What are your thoughts on that?
Jesus H, Matt, why the hell are you coming out swinging? So it's not even been 2 minutes, dude.
I told you.
No, it's fine. I have big feelings about that already. Immediate thought is, even if you're not, immediate thought is sometimes people just need any bad guy.
Yep.
Whether that is warranted or not, whether, you may or may not have actually done anything malicious. Some people just need a bad guy. There's also, just because you are seeing your actions through, your lens of, I'm coming from a good place. Maybe this person just doesn't like constructive criticism, but mine know that my heart's in the right place. It doesn't matter if that's not their experience and that doesn't align with their experience. If you don't give somebody space to be hey, you're the bad guy, and I care about you and I want to save this, I don't know, I want to repair this relationship, this friendship, this marriage, this, that, whatever. And sometimes you are the bad guy. My sister, so many times. I think I talked about it last week. Dude, as soon as she comes to me with a problem, I'm instantly into spring in and fix it mode. And she's had to tell me...
you cut a bitch mode.
Yeah, seriously. I'm listen, you're telling me about a problem. I can fix this for you right now. And then we can go back to nobody's bitching,
Yeah.
But she has had to tell me, hey, you're being the bad guy. I literally have already fixed it. I just need somebody to validate my struggle.
Yep.
So immediate thoughts about that. Whether or not you're intentionally trying to be the bad guy, I would hope that anybody listening to this maybe would not be, unless you need to be the bad guy to somebody, straight up. But, I don't know. I just feel I've had to learn that lesson myself. A lot of it was a loved one's, mental illness that was maybe making me telling them that I was the bad guy, or somebody just didn't like to hear constructive criticism. That does not make me a bad person.
Yeah, correct.
And that doesn't make you a bad person either, Matt.
Thank you. I appreciate
that.
Mic
drop.
There you go. That is a hard mic drop. You also couldn't see her St. Louis come out because I could see it. You can't see it. You may have been able to hear it, but I could see it, and I was here for it. I was here for all of it. So the next thing I want to talk about, and this is something that I went on a field trip to Sea Life in Kansas City at Crown Center with my youngest daughter. It was a makeup field trip because it got snowed out. The one day they were going to go do it, it snowed, so school got canceled. So she couldn't do it. So this was the makeup, which was good because it was warmer, which was nice instead of cold, obviously, because it was snowing. But I had a lot of good experiences with that. And one thing that I want to say and this is for posterity, I think is the word, where like I can't wait for my kids to be old enough to hear this and maybe be like, man, my dad loved me. Because like right now I was just like beaming with how much I was super excited to go on this field trip and show up for my kid. I always want to show up for them when I can. And, you know, I got asked, you came on the last field trip. Why did you come on this one? Because I'm here for my daughter. That's why. And the little kid looked at me like, okay, I don't know what that means. And I was like, you know, I'm sure your parents would like to be here if they could, but they probably have to work or they probably have something going on. And it was just like, yeah, my dad does. And then they just started going off on their story. And it's like, exactly. But like, I'm here for her. I want her to enjoy this, and I want to see her enjoy that. The other parents that were there were like snapping pictures and on their phone and whatnot. And I was just enjoying the moment, man. I loved it. But, back to what I wanted to say. Her morning announcements with the way of technology is so wild. They have like a video conference. So the principal pops up on on the projector screen. That's not like just a normal overhead projector. It's like a movie projector, and the principal sits in her office and, you know, like does the announcements. And she was talking about the word of the week or the word of the day or something like that. And it was integrity. And my daughter's in kindergarten. And I was like, damn, okay. And she started, she started like going into the definition of what integrity means and giving examples in ways that like young kindergarten to like third graders could understand. And I was just like, I'm kind of here for this. And I like that, you know, the main point that she said to like dumb it down was integrity is doing the right thing, even though nobody's around to know. And I was just like, damn, like you just dropped a knowledge bomb at 8 o'clock in the morning on these like 5, 6, 7, 8-year-olds. And I just, wow. Okay. So like, what are your thoughts on that one?
First of all, school has changed a lot since I was in there. I'm also just hearing you be excited about a field trip got me super freaking excited. I got a 19-month-old and she's, we had an incident involving feces at daycare last fucking week. So, you know, I'm so excited for aquarium field trip someday and I don't have an incident report waiting for me at the end of the damn day. But that's insane. And immediate thought, it's never too early. It's never too early to start instilling the values into your kids that you feel are important. That's what's going to guide them for the rest of their life. I really like that. I'm encouraged by that. This is a public school?
Yeah, it is a public school. That's a rural public school. I was like, okay, whatever. I'm here for it. That's how we're going to start out our field trip morning.
Maybe some parents needed to hear that shit too.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, okay. So then, like I said, I'm trying to sandwich these so it's not like heavy, you know. So it's heavy, light. So we're gonna go to we're gonna go to the next heavy one real quick. We are talking about like, you know, a little bit of grief, a little bit of coping and things like that, and what we do on this episode. So I wanted to ask you. How did you become capable of dealing with and talking to others about your grief? And like, you know, I just wonder whether that was like a slow change or if you were always kind of like okay with doing it. And then you had like some sort of pivot into that.
For me, we've talked about it before here, but you know, prior, I'm a vocal processor. And I also, I don't mind. I've always kind of been an open book with it, starting with the crash that killed my mom. You know, even in high school at such a young age, 14, 15, 16, your mom jokes were like super popular in high school whenever I was in there. So like, you know, there were a couple awkward situations where your mom joke was cracked to me and like I laughed because it was funny, but then, you know, it gets real awkward real quick and then maybe that person didn't know. I've always been an open book with it. I recently, probably within the last 6 months, have felt super compelled to be very open and public and vulnerable with dealing with grief. I've told people for a long time that I don't mind talking about my mom's death. because it was my definition of normal. Like, just like, hey, I went to grandma's house on Sunday. She made me like whatever. Yeah, my mom's dead. And okay, I think it's also beneficial that I had that going into my dad dying. But yeah, damn, man, what are you doing to me? You're coming in heavy today. No, I've to a degree, I've always been pretty open with talking about grief. It's just been, I think maybe when I've been like transitioning into motherhood into 2 children, that I've been like, okay, I can guarantee that there is a 14-year-old me somewhere in the world that needs to hear my story. And if that helps one person, like, I'm good. It was worth it. Until then, I'm going to keep running my mouth till I get censored or until the internet dies,
Yeah. Yeah. Good. I love it. I love that. That is a very Caitlin answer, and I appreciate it.
Nice.
I was thinking about that when we first started talking about what we were going to do for this week, and I was like, I'm curious as to where that came from, because I know for me, like, I've always kind of been that way, but like, I don't know where it came from, like why. I wouldn't be able to answer it. So I was wondering if you had an answer, and you did have an answer, which I think you were also kind of always that way, but it kind of blossomed, per circumstance as well. And then I got 2 more things, but they're both light, so don't worry. Good ones. First one, because it's me, and I'm gonna like shine some light on you for a second, but like I'm gonna take it for a moment. So I talked about, like, Courtney and I just got a tattoo, and like a couple's tattoo, and I'm super excited about it. But while we were there, I was like, man, I found a local tattoo artist that like I wouldn't mind going to get some small stuff. And I was like, what small stuff would I want? And I love the show The 100. It is my favorite show. The best. I love it. So I'm going to get a 100 sleeve, and I don't know if you've ever seen the imagery out there, but the main thing was them falling from the sky originally. So I'm going to get coming from my half sleeve, which is my like elbow up to my shoulder. So my elbow down, I'm going to get the people falling from the sky, and then I'm going to get all of the brands from the 13 clans just sporadically placed around my forearm. And then like that silly, like goofy spotty tattoo where it's just like a bunch of stuff randomly, but it makes sense because the 100 is falling from the sky. Super excited. So
that is awesome. And I'm like nerding out here for a hot sec. But can I also, let me just take us out. Love tattoos. Obviously started my half sleeve. Love it. Mm-hmm. And I'm also really love that's going to spark a lot of like interesting conversation for a pretty decent show. Can we just like, I'm really hoping you have my back on this one, Matt. God dang it. The ending fucking sucked.
Yeah.
And I'll stand by, that is a hill I will die on.
Yeah.
But we don't have to spend too much time on that because I don't know how many of our listeners have actually watched the show. If you haven't, please check it out. It ran on CW for what, like 7 or 8 seasons?
Yep. 7 seasons. It's on Netflix. It's actually trending on Netflix now, which is kind of interesting. Like I said, I love it. I will say it was a show that was supposed to get more seasons, and after they announced season 7, they greenlit season 8 and 9, and then just decided halfway through filming season 7 that it was going to be the end. So that's what happened. That's why that did what it did, because they tried to wrap up way too much in half a season because they had already started work on it, from what I understand. But
I didn't know that. Okay. Yeah. I guess I have to rewatch it with that connotation in mind, or that context in mind.
Me and Courtney just watched it because she had never watched it, and I'm super excited. But anyway, that aside, that was, like I said, that was a me thing. And I just wanted to, take a moment to be like, hey, buddy, did you get to listen to your episode today? Because your episode of Home's Room dropped.
I did. And I also listened to the bonus episode, and it's real surreal. Like, it feels like, at this point, we've already been filming for a couple months. So to have it out there in the world, I'm really, pumped about it. I'm excited about it. re-listening to that interview, the first time since we recorded it. I was like, oh, I cannot believe I just said that. But like, all right, let's do it.
Yeah. Yep.
Open book, dude.
Yep. It's so wild. One of the things that I love is, number one, like, I love how awesome that conversation was for literally having never spoken to each other more than like a sentence at a time via like Facebook Messenger.
For less than 12 hours before that interview was recorded, by the way.
Yep. I love it. I was just like, man, we had fun. It was, informative, and, your words had so much impact, and I hope that everybody enjoys, like, just like I did, because it's amazing. I will tell you, Courtney listened to it twice today because she loved it so much. So there's that.
That's awesome. Courtney's great. We're IG friends now, so
I heard she's at practice, so she's got the roller derby tonight. But she said, I don't want to go, and then she's like, do you want to go for me? And I said, I guess so. I can. You'd have to record for me. And she was like, I don't know if I could do that. I don't know if I would have anything for this episode. And I was like, I'm sure Caitlin would help you out. And then again, she'd probably be really excited to see you pop on and not me. And she laughed and she was like, yeah, I know, we're friends on Instagram now.
I don't know. That gives me some recording ideas. We might need like a Mother's Day special or something.
There you go. I like it. We might be able to work that in.
That's awesome.
I got some ideas now. Thank you for that. And sorry to Courtney. So like I said, getting into what we're talking about today, now that we've gone on like 50 million different tangents.
All good. ADHD's fine.
Yes, it is. We were going to talk about coping habits, mechanisms, whatever you want to refer to them as. And you had the idea to come up with like good and bad. And I thought that was very interesting. And I had a silly moment of like, man, all these podcasts are doing like a playlist, like companion to certain episodes or to their podcast in general. And I was like, this is the perfect episode to do like a playlist. So we did a 10 song playlist that we're going to put together. And then I guess at the end I guess you'll list off your 5 songs and I'll list off my 5 songs.
That's totally fine.
We'll release a playlist to go along with this on Spotify.
Yes. If you didn't say it, I was going to suggest it. So
good. I like it. I hopefully like people out there find this like dramatic difference, because I hope there's a dramatic difference in like your songs and mine, just to be like, like I don't know if you know who Laura Bell Bundy is, but she country singer.
I've heard the
country
name.
singer. She did an album that was called Aiken and Shaken. So like it was like a upbeat album with like 50% upbeat and 50% like sultry, like, country like love songs, but also like brokenheartedness. It was a good album. I loved it. So
I'll check it out.
Hopefully this is one of those where we just have like a good combination of it. But rolling into it, do you want to go with one bad and then one good, or do you want to do like we'll just list the bad ones and the good ones, or the good ones and the bad ones, and just bounce back and forth?
Surprise me. Dealer's choice. I think both would be good structures. So up to you there, boss.
All right. Scary. I guess we'll throw in. Mine aren't numbered, so I'm just gonna go off a feel. But we're gonna go with the bad one first. And in light of my "everybody is the bad guy" in somebody's story comment earlier, cutting deep with my words, I think that's probably one of my bad coping mechanisms. Where like I'm hurt, and it's not necessarily that I'm lashing out. It's just that I know that saying this thing will get you to leave me alone. So I might say something with a little bit more zing on it, or a little bit more like stabby of a word than I needed to use, or something. And while it gets the job done and gets you to leave me alone, it's definitely not a good thing to do. And that one definitely one that I've worked on to try and do less. I still am guilty of it, but
yeah, definitely with our loved ones. If you know the buttons to push and you're backed into a corner, I am. I've done that quite a few times myself. I definitely do it when I'm in a bit of really large state of agitation or like deep in like depths of my big feelings. As I tell my toddler, is what they are.
Yeah.
So I relate to that a lot. My first negative coping mechanism, and also to clarify, when I'm talking about coping mechanism, or when we're talking about coping mechanism, coping mechanism to anything, any type of agitator, any type of life event or stressor, or anything that puts you out of a healthy mindset, and you either avoid feelings or numb feelings or whatever you have to do to immediately escape that aggravator or whatever. That's what we're talking about with coping mechanisms. My big one is online shopping.
Yeah.
For me, I noticed it wasn't until we were in adulthood that my sister and I were like my sister did a mental health check-in on me, and she was like, "How much stuff have you bought online?" And I was like, kind of a lot. Why? And she was like, "Because I do the same thing, dummy." And I actually brought it up and talked to my therapist about it. Fun fact. And I was like, this is a coping mechanism. And I'm really confused by it. Like, I don't understand why I do it. It's just, being the mom of, young children, losing out on sleep, the whole world sleeping. I'm up. Instagram ads get me all the time. Because Zuckerberg hears our thoughts or whatever. And so my therapist said, okay, we've talked about how you have issues with control. You are a self-diagnosed control freak, and online shopping is a very quick dopamine hit, and you have full control of that experience. And I was like, oh, another therapy light bulb. That session was worth $120. So
yeah, it sounds like it.
But yeah, so that's my first one. And I can definitely tell when I'm kind of diving into or not doing well.
Okay. If you can answer this and it's like something like you feel like sharing, what's the dumbest thing you ended up buying?
Oh, shit. Probably the dumber things that I end up getting are like Amazon gadgets and doodads. I was looking in my desk drawers here behind me. Back and behind one of them, I found a package of silicone hair drain hair catchers that I was like, oh my gosh, I totally need these. It was like $15. Missed the return window. They don't even work with any of my damn drains. So I guess if anybody wants them, hit me up and I'll sell them to you for cheap. But
leave us a review. You get a hair drain thing.
Amazon gets me. And then all these influencers have built huge platforms on sharing their Amazon finds. Like, oh my gosh, I need that pink cup holder, or like those transparent Post-it notes. Absolutely purchases that I have made. So
I like it.
It could be worse, I guess.
Yeah. So we're gonna move to a good one. We're just gonna go back and forth. So one of my good coping mechanisms and things when I need to just escape, or I know I need to just have some good energy, is Scale RC, and by RC I mean remote control cars. I actually have been featured in a magazine once for my work. What it is you try and build a off-road vehicle, or any vehicle, I guess, honestly, because I do a lot of them, but you try and make it look as real as possible. And it is a remote control car, functions like a remote control car. You drive it around, do whatever you do. Some people have them sit on a shelf. I think that part's stupid. I do have some that sit on a shelf, but I try and use them. But I have a whole page on Instagram dedicated to it. I don't usually share this information with people because a lot of people are like, that's so cool. But then also it's kind of dorky. So I used to make the joke to Courtney when I first started doing it. That I was like, why my wife is fine with me spending hundreds of dollars on doing this? Because no girl wants to come up and talk to the guy playing with an RC car at the park.
Sick remote control car, dude. Exactly. So that's a good one. And I went to school for chassis fab, and that's building
frames for cars. So when I realized I don't have $100,000 to dump into a real car, small scale made sense. So I build them just like you would build a real car, plan out a cage just like you would plan out a cage, a chassis, suspension geometry, all those things. And it's all a bunch of little puzzles that I have to put together and solve problems. And fabricating in general, building anything is one of my go-tos when I need that thing, because I can distract myself and I'm only worried about this problem at this moment because I got to solve it. And, burn up some welding wire, breathe in some fumes. Maybe I get fumes too. I have no idea, but that's my good one. That's my favorite good one.
That is a good one. You like that one just because it is a puzzle that distracts you from your own thoughts, or
yeah.
Yep.
It's like I said, so when with what I do, in real life, you'd be able to get inside this car. You'd be able to take a measurement and have, maybe even a second set of hands help you take this measurement. But with 1/10 scale is what I usually do. You're measuring inside diameters of things or inside measurements of things that you can't fit in yourself. So your measurements, a millimeter off is huge sometimes. So to solve these issues and to build something that doesn't exist and something that was never intended for it to exist that way is therapeutic, but also frustrating. So instead of worried about a problem that I can't solve, I can spend my brain power trying to solve problems. And then when it's all said and done, I have this thing that I can go drive around, or I have this thing that I just looks badass.
Yeah.
And I'm just yes, this is my passion. I love doing this.
That's so cool. I need more hobbies, dude.
Yeah, I do a lot, and that's people always get me. I airbrush too, and that one's stupid. That one gets me. I'm not very good at it, but it's all right.
Hey, art is art, okay? Nobody can say what art is or is not. All right, my next healthy coping mechanism might be a tad controversial. But it was a recreational activity that I did with my dad a lot because he was a firearms instructor, and a healthy coping mechanism when I feel like my head is about to pop off my body is to go pick up a gun and shoot it at the gun range.
Yes. Awesome.
My dad was a firearms instructor. That was how we spent quality time together. And I also feel pretty passionately about introducing people who may or may not be frightened of guns, to shoot. So it's what I like to do.
Yeah. That one didn't make my list only because I don't have anywhere near me to go shooting anymore. We used to go out to people's property. My dad lived out in Western Kansas. So there was a range near him, but anymore it's so hard to find unless you make it a day out of it. And if you're going to make a day out of it, you don't want to go by yourself. You want to go with somebody. Yeah. So it ends up being do I really want to drive 45 minutes to the nearest range to go there by myself and then have to drive home by myself? It just ends up being meh. So good. I like that one. If you don't mind a little bit more detail, what's your favorite? I assume you shoot handguns more than anything else.
I do. And fun story. I have a couple different pistols, but my favorite pistol in my collection is a Sig Sauer titanium plated competition 45 pistol.
Yeah.
Mostly because my dad always said, if you run out of bullets, you can just hit somebody in the head with it and you're good.
Yeah. I like it.
But it was, it's one of my most prized, precious possessions right now because my dad bought it for himself a couple years ago as a birthday present. And then later that same day, when he went out to go shoot it for the first time, he had an accidental discharge and grazed his thigh. So that was my keepsake firearm that I got to keep after he did pass away. And I said, this is my titanium plated gun that my dad accidentally shot himself with. So he was fine. He drove himself to the hospital. It was just a grazed wound or whatever. He had to get a crap ton of tetanus shots on his birthday. And then I called him later that night and I was like, Dad, what the hell? And he goes, I know. And then I went to the hospital, small town living. He said, I went to the hospital and then I was sitting in my room waiting for all these damn tetanus shots. And then the nurse walked in and was like, oh my gosh, are you done, Rife? Caitlin's dad? I went to high school with her. And I was like, well, who was it? And he didn't know who it was. But I was like, there's that small town living.
That's funny. I don't know if anybody listening has ever had an accidental discharge. We used to have, when I was younger, we had a Browning high power, I think that was a 9mm. And it would do that every like fifth shot. And so like, if you're shooting and you're shooting less than 5 consecutive rounds, then it's not a problem. But if you are shooting, like, say, you know, like getting taught how to shoot, you know, like, here, shoot twice, we'll figure out what's going on, get some pointers, and then shoot again, you kind of lose track of how many times so like that fifth one would surprise you. And I remember shooting through a table that we had in front of us because
Jesus
it was
Christ,
that like
Matt.
shot.
Okay.
I was learning how to shoot when I was a kid.
Sidebar. I have to say this. Please use your firearms responsibly. Accidental discharges are a serious, serious issue. I'm only making light of it because it is my dead dad's memento that I have and treasure dearly. But everybody practice responsible gun safety, please.
Yeah. And that's where that story was going, is the gun that we did not keep very long after that. We're like, there's something. I mean, I think it's possible we still had it, but it definitely was not one that ever went to the range with us ever again.
Oh my gosh.
That was ridiculous. So yeah, be careful. That was going to be the PSA as an FFL and somebody that used to have to, like, you know, walk people through buying their first gun. It was like stuff like that is crazy.
Absolutely.
But that, like I said, I appreciate your story because I know exactly how bad that could have been, and
I think had the wrong holster. Tried to put it in, and he, in his own words, I didn't take my booger hook off the bang switch fast enough. God dang it, Dad.
Yep. That is, yep. And, you know, at least he was trained and knew what to do. So that's good. And, you know, it was great.
Sorry, I'm cracking open a liquid death. I apologize. It's probably really rude, but here we go. There we go.
Perfect crisp sound. You have an amazing microphone. So what are you on, a bad one now, right? A bad one?
Yes.
Cracking open a can on mic. No, I'm just joking. That's not a coping mechanism. Let's go with on brand with cracking open a can. Eating my feelings. Believe it or not, as small as I am, I eat my feelings, and that could be anything from like a bag of chips that is like a normal, like, you know, family size bag of chips, and then the bag is gone, or, you know, Little Debbie like snack cakes. I tend to get those quite often. You know, whatever random snacky thing that like could be there, like, it's just like, man, I'm hungry, I'm gonna eat this thing, and then I realize pretty quick that like I must be going through something because I am eating more than I should normally eat, and I'm not, that like pit isn't getting full, it's just still there. So, well,
great job, Matt, because you took one of mine.
Buddy.
Yay, high five. And I noticed that my mom used to do this. I think it was a coping mechanism that maybe she educated me and my sister with, because I think my sister and I have had conversations about it in the past. And I find it really hilarious that you also said too, you know, the pit's still not filled. But mine is, I would say, in total, just disordered eating in general. So trigger warning for anybody who has struggled with any of this. I do apologize, but we do try to keep it real. I will binge, and then the whole next day I'll be like super restrictive and feel super guilty about, you know, just really unhealthy relationship stuff with food. after my mom died, I felt like a great sense of control over eating or not eating, to the point where like the school called my dad and was like, hey, just want to let you know that we're keeping an eye on Caitlin. She's not eating lunch at school. And then my dad was like, hey, dummy, I know you're not eating lunch at school. And then you're also coming home and saying you're not, you don't feel like eating dinner because you had a big lunch at school and you didn't eat lunch. So just to let you know, we're talking. Me and the school are in communication with each other. And also, like, this is not healthy. So, just to expand on the same unhealthy coping mechanism, which I feel like people need to talk about more, by the way.
Yeah, I do. I think guys also need to talk about it more, because it's not something that just affects like half of us. I just want to say I love your dad. I love that your dad does, like, every time we talk, I feel like there's a story about like something that like is like, that was such a good dude.
He was a big personality. Awesome. So let me tell you.
When it comes to eating, and like I've had, I don't know if I said this in a conversation before, but I remember I was doing warm-ups at a game, and I was just skating laps, like I said, warming up, trying to feel out the floor for the game we're getting ready to play. And roller derby brings all sorts of people, and our events are open to the public, so it doesn't really make a difference, whether it's somebody that or somebody that like just heard about it and decided to show up, or saw our sign out by the street and decided to come in, whatever it is. And these dudes were hanging out, and they were kind of drinking early for how drunk they seemed, but they were yelling at me, get this kid a sandwich, don't skip leg day, all these stupid things that like I've heard my entire life. And it's like, I wonder if those are things that contribute to like guys having more disordered eating, or eating their feelings and things and binging because they have a different level of body to aspire to that is not actually based in any contextual evidence of this is what you should be.
Yeah.
So
how about we just stop making comments about other people's bodies in general?
Yeah.
Concept. I like that and one. I've also seen a couple Instagram posts that I really liked and I saved. There were like a list of 10 compliments that have nothing to do with somebody's body. Where like, I love how compassionate you are. Like, your laugh sounds beautiful. Compliments that are 100% not physical appearance based at all. And I've been trying to implement that myself. So, yeah,
I like that. Since I stole one of your bad ones, I will tip it back to you for your next good one. What is your next good one?
Oh, good one. My next good one is going for a Jeep ride. And I didn't count this among my healthy coping mechanisms until we started dating, and I started Jeeping with him and his family. But it is something that, we can pile the kids in the back seat, take the top down, go back roading, and just spend some time together, listen to the Cardinals game, listen to some music together, and then, stop. And believe it or not, Missouri has some scenic views. Crazy, So just stop, explore a new spot in the woods together. I think that is a healthy coping mechanism, because it also kind of goes hand in hand with spending time with my family and kind of like getting regrounded on what's important and what matters at the end of the day. So it doesn't matter what I go out into the world and do or accomplish if I go home at the end of the day and I have no one to share in it with. So that's a good coping mechanism for me.
I like that one. That one, as I am a Jeep owner myself, I can definitely I could support that one. So yeah, we're waiting for it to get like consistently warm so we can have more days like that. But I approve. It is Holmes stamped. My next good one, and this is a softball, but I literally talked about getting a tattoo of a TV show earlier. Putting on a movie. One of my go-to movies, or something that like I can just sit back and enjoy, and forget about the world for a little bit, forget about everything that's going on for a second, and just like be involved in this movie, whether it's something funny, whether it's an action movie, whether it's something with the girls, whatever it ends up being. It like I love being able to like have, like I said, we have tons of DVDs, we have like a ton of the streaming platforms, but it's something about being able to just like go to a movie and be like, hey, I'm gonna watch you. I got an hour and 45 minutes to just hang out, sit here, think about whatever I got to think about, but like none of it matters because it's only going to be like 30-second blips while I'm watching this this movie. And
yeah,
I like that.
That's a nice one. Big feels. All right, what's your next bad one?
My next bad one, isolation, like the I'm good by myself kind of thing, where like I will just be like blinders on, fuck the world. I don't, I'm just here for myself and that's it. And somebody asks, do you need anything? And normally the answer is no, but this time it's like no with like the look that says say another word and your head will be next to you on the ground kind of thing. Cause it's just like, I don't need anything. I just need me. Everybody get out of my way. I am now a tank on a mission.
Is part of that feeling like bringing your problems to somebody else, feeling like an inconvenience, or is it just you kind of sinking into yourself and soldiering forward? Definitely
soldiering forward. It's when it comes to like that particular thing, I don't know that I feel like a burden on others necessarily. Usually it's like I could just do this job myself, and involving you is like adding a extra like 3 steps of code that I don't need. And if I just do this myself, I solve all of my problems, and that's not necessarily the best way of thinking. So
I like that. It's also like,
yeah,
not that I like that. I like that you said it because I absolutely can relate. But mine is more so coming from a place of like, everybody has problems. And if I put all my problems in a pile with a bunch of other people and I compared them to everybody else, I kind of feel like maybe I'd want to pick mine immediately back up. But I also don't want to be an inconvenience. So my next bad coping mechanism is something that I mentioned last week on the podcast. Alcohol, drinking. I came home the day at the hospital that they told us that it was just a matter of time for my dad while he was in the hospital, and I immediately poured myself a Jack and Pepsi because that's all we had. And it was like 2/3 of the 3/4 of a whiskey glass full of whiskey, just a little bit of Pepsi on top. And then I chugged the whole thing, so that I could, man up and tell my husband that his father-in-law was dying. And the bonus episode today that launched on mine, I really related with, the hoping and praying that a miracle is going to happen, and dealing with the realization that there's no magical fairy dust that's going to change the situation. There's no coming back from it, that kind of thing. I needed alcohol and I needed liquor to deal with that. I also dealt with like feelings of loneliness and postpartum depression with beer and alcohol. My adult beveragino of choice was a Stella. But I could, what I talked about last week on, That's What She Said, the fact that I am sober now. And I, realized that was what I needed to choose for myself, because I was starting to drink liquor more. And, to me, it's maybe partially a control freak thing, but also just paying attention to my body and all that too. So for me, alcohol was a problem. And I recently found out too that alcoholism and addiction runs super deep on both sides of my family. So two negatives don't make a positive.
Yeah.
So I kind of get it on both sides. So for me, alcohol was definitely a negative coping mechanism. I'm only 9 days sober as we're recording this. And I feel like, what's really going to be a test for me is when I am in a situation where I would cope with heavy drinking. I think I've been fortunate enough in the last 9 days that I haven't really had that feeling. So I don't know. We'll see what happens when I do find myself facing that situation.
Yeah. I was going to ask how that was going.
It's going well. I'm drinking Liquid Death.
There you go. I saw your post about what that looks like, and Courtney drinks those as well. So like it's
Nice.
it's a thing. So I'm amazed that you guys didn't bond over that, honestly. It's a thing, but I'm glad it's going well. I'm gonna try and do my best to keep checking in with you on that. And
thank you.
I'm super proud of you still.
Accountability partner. I like it.
Yeah. Where are we? Was that a bad one? That was a bad one, right? So it's a good one. Okay.
Well, it wasn't good, Matt.
It was not good. It was not good. My I guess biggest good one, and it used to be a bad one, is sitting with my thoughts. I used to fall under the bad category because, I didn't understand how to do it. And now I have like the understanding of how to use my emotions and feelings to like tell the story of how I'm feeling to myself and express it better. And, I used to just be like, I'm going to be quiet and, I'm just going to stew in my anger or whatever it is. And now I can sit and think about it, ask myself the why question. And this is one of my favorite exercises. And everybody should give this a try if you are brave enough to. And it's just, you feel yourself getting angry. You can't lie to yourself. You know that you're feeling angry. And to ask yourself why. And obviously, like, why are you angry? Because such and such did some dumb shit. And it's like, well, why did that anger you though? And then it made me mad because that's not helpful. Well, why isn't it helpful? And then you just keep asking yourself why until you find an answer that like is not whyable. And generally you can't, it's hard to find an answer that's not whyable. But I love doing that one because it makes it super simple to like get to the root of something, because you can't lie to yourself. You cannot tell yourself, well, why are you mad? I'm mad because you know why you're mad. It's not somebody else asking you. You are asking yourself this question. And I like that one.
I feel like it's almost like a intuitive thing to be super honest with yourself, where sometimes if somebody asks, you have like, oh, well, this is my PC answer. Like, I'm just really feeling this out. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, that bitch is dumb. She does not have my best interest in mind. And that's why something that she said or did bothered me. But yeah, I like that. I feel like there's, and I'm also super jealous that you can be alone with your thoughts, because I'm not of that category.
DC Road.
I'm not there yet. So maybe someday.
Yeah.
But yeah, another healthy coping mechanism that I have is kind of along the same lines as your movies. I have used books for all of my life as a way to escape some kind of level of escapism. So much so that I used to get in trouble in middle school. I would have a book open and under my desk with my times worksheet, pretending to do my math, and I'd be reading in my lap. And every time I get caught, and all my teachers would say, "Now, Caitlin, we're so excited that you're reading. However, you do have to do math." I'm like, so that I still enjoy reading. I love getting lost in somebody else's universe. Thrillers. If anybody's got any dope ass thriller recommendations, please send them my way because I'm always on the hunt. And right now, I believe that the purpose in life is creating a to be read list that's so long that you will never reach the end of it.
Yeah, I like that. Before we jump into the next one, how much time do you think you're going to need for That's What She Said this week?
You can skip it if you want.
I want to skip it. That's the point. As I was trying to figure out whether we just want to do one more, like
let's just do one more. Yeah, we'll do. Right. One more. We're good.
All right. So my it works out because I can blend this one into both. So my next good and bad one was roller derby. Roller derby was something that used to help me until I realized it was a thing that was hurting me, and I still love skating. I always say, my favorite thing was getting on the track. And as soon as we take that start line, it is my 5 versus your 5. And I will pick my 5 every day of the fucking week. Nice. And it is nothing but like pure just being. It's one of the very few things that I can say your like government name is who you're pretending to be. When you play derby, whatever that derby name is, when that whistle blows, that person is who you are. Mm-hmm. There is nothing but instinct and whatever skill level you are, whatever trust level you have, whatever it is boiled down. And I always love to say, like, in those moments, I'm not a father, I'm not a husband, I'm not a brother, I'm not anything but a teammate, or depending on the position I'm playing, a jammer or a pivot trying to score points. And that's the only thing that matters, is getting through this pack or blocking for, my jammer or whatever it is to just like make it happen. And that was such a beautiful thing until I started to realize that like I was spending time around people that like didn't necessarily like care about me, and if they did care about me, they didn't show it, and if they didn't show it, then should I be here? And then like it just became like a weird thing where like I liked playing, but I didn't like everything else, and it was like 95% everything else and like 5% playing, and then it got to the point where it's like so like that one falls under both. So that was that one is, I still love skating. I would still love to play if I could play and not have any other garbage. But
look at me nodding like I know what the hell a jammer is.
If we can ever make this happen, you're going to come watch Courtney play, and you will figure it out.
Courtney might have to teach me to play, because that might be a good way to get my damn aggression out. Yeah. So
there's a league in St. Louis.
Is there really?
Yep, we have a friend that plays for the Gatekeepers in St. Louis, and that one is, I think they do men's, but I think they have I think there's a women's as well.
I'll go shoulder check some dudes, whatever.
Yeah,
I'm kidding. They probably won't let me play.
Do it.
So my last one can also be mixed into both. And that is kind of happening organically once I knew that Matt cheated, and we could actually like say that one could be like as good or bad. But mine is lifting / working out. I recently, I'm saying in the healthy way, I recently started working at, or lifting again, after I, decided to become sober from alcohol and kind of like get a better way to deal with my stress and anxiety. My husband was like, I think you probably need to go lift heavy shit again. Because I'm also of the opinion that when I'm lifting heavy shit on my off time, I'm less of a bitch. So there's that. But I also just like feeling strong. So for me, it's a healthy way to get my aggression out, just to disappear in a good playlist, and then, kind of deal with it that way. But it's also can be an unhealthy thing. And I definitely ran into that when I was getting ready for my wedding. Not for my actual wedding, but like around that same season of my life. I actually just the other day was looking back on pictures of me a couple years ago when my husband and I were engaged, and I was, working out, super stressed with my job at the time. And I I looked at that and I didn't recognize myself. I looked ill. I looked like I was sick. And that is from overworking out or from doing too much cardio, and also struggling with a pattern of disordered eating at that time, where I'm like overworking out and not eating enough calories or not eating enough protein because it's another thing that I can control. So yeah, I count that as healthy and not healthy. And right now what I'm being super conscious about is lifting, but also making sure that I'm being kind of mindful of my diet as well. Like I've cut out fast food, and really all that I'm keeping track of is how much, like, being mindful of eating extra protein every day. But other than that, I'm not being restrictive. I like last night I had cookies and cream ice cream and it was my husband. So he was like, what the hell? Where'd the ice cream go? But yeah, so I count that as good and bad.
I like that one. That one is good and bad. And also the whole time I was like listening to the beginning where you were talking about like lifting heavy shit and how much you love it. And all I could think about was lifting heavy shit and playing roller derby and how strong you are and how awesome that would be.
You're gonna start something that my husband's gonna be pissed about.
He will until he sees the culture and he's gonna be like, this is fucking awesome. This atmosphere is crazy. And then he's gonna enjoy games. I still go to Courtney's games and I still enjoy watching it because it's still a sporting event and the atmosphere is awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna move on to our playlists. We will combine these and make them an available playlist. Do you just want to do like one song and then you do one song and then I do one song?
List your full five, or I can go first. Let's just list our full five and then kind of share a little bit and then we'll be good.
Absolutely. Yeah, let's do it. You want to go first?
Sure. All
right.
I have my five on my phone in front of me. The first one is I'm Tired by Labyrinth. It was featured in Euphoria, which is how I found it. But that song came out and aired on an episode while my dad was in the hospital. And I was like, oh my gosh, it was like, it's a very heavy song. It's about, not having strength and not feeling like you have any more fight left in you. So when I'm in my damn feels, that is my first listen. But yeah, let me clarify. This was supposed to be in my feels.
Yeah.
Right.
So my thinking was I was like, did I bump that one? I think I bumped that one for something else. That's why it was so, I was like, trying to process. Did I not add that one? Why did I not? So
I saw the cogs turning and I was like, this bitch is supposed to put together a happy playlist.
No. I was like looking at my list like, wait, did I not? So no, I like it. I was in the same spot. So
all good. My next one is Lemon Tree by Post Malone. He's talking about how everybody has all these different types of fruit trees and he just is stuck with a lemon tree. And fuck it, I'm going to burn it down and build something better. But it does have a little bit of a pity party element to it. So that's why it's on this list. And it makes me feel feelings. My next song when I'm in my feelings is Good Wife by Casey Musgraves. I first of all was obsessed with her Golden Hour album that came out in grad school and was just like so beautiful. And the man that she was married to at the time that actually inspired the album Golden Hour, she very quickly got a divorce from after the album kind of came out. And then this next one, her next album was like far more like dramatic and dark, and it's like structured like a Greek tragedy, which was beautiful. But this Good Wife song is the second song on the album, second or third. It's super early in it. She said that this was the first song that she wrote after this beautiful album about how wonderful her life was and how nice this man was. And she wrote the song as essentially saying like, why can I not be a good wife? Like, why can I not be the person that this person thinks that I am and I have been, and now I'm finding it difficult to do that. But I also just really try hard to be a good wife, and my husband
Yeah.
is a very patient, kind man. So that's my third one. The next one, when I'm in my feels, is Cough Syrup by Young the Giant. No explanation needed for that one, I personally feel. And then my last one, when I'm in my feels, but I need a push to get out of it. Again, I think maybe talked about it, but this tattoo here is Braille for LWW, which is Life Won't Wait, which is an Ozzy Osbourne song. Yeah. And it's essentially a reminder and a good kick in the ass. Like, yeah, feel your feelings, but also life's not going to wait for you to figure your shit out. So do the thing, do the scary thing. And also stop being a sad sack, you idiot. That's what the song says to me, or I say to myself when I'm listening to the song. So somebody else might get something else out of it, but those are my 5 in my feel songs.
That's the best part about art is you interpret it how you interpret it, and I love it. But I like that list. That's a solid list. I like that. I didn't have as much background information prepared for my list, so now I feel like I missed the assignment. But I will try and follow that act with my 5. The first on my list is Where the Dirt and Water Collide by the White Buffalo. I love everything by the White Buffalo, and I was really disappointed that I decided to make this a 5-song list for each of us because it was extremely hard to do. I was so mad at myself. It was like, I can't do this. I don't know. This one? No. This one? No. So Where the Dirt and Water Collide it's a song about, basically that like feeling tired and needing a recharge and him wanting to run into the sun and, wanting nothing to take away a little bit of that sunshine so he can absorb that energy and recharge. And he's got a beautiful voice. Instruments are amazing. So like I love, like I said, everything about the White Buffalo is, just good music. I really like that song. It's powerful, I guess is the best way to describe it. My number 2 song is Wolves by Down Like Silver, and the lyrics of the song, I've posted them actually probably quite often to my story when I'm in my feels. It's when I'm gone, let the wolves enjoy my bones. When I'm gone, like spread me to the wind. So it's just like for me, it kind of speaks to me that like I am small in the grand scheme of things, and it reminds me that I'm small in the grand scheme of things, and not in a way that like I should be like, oh, don't take up space, but small as in like the world is so big and so many problems and so much going on that like what I got going on is, just like it's not that big of a deal. And when I'm gone, I hope I don't leave a burden on anybody. I hope that it's just that's it. So, that one, like I said, that one's really somber, but I like it. My next one, and this was really hard because I really like her voice, and there's like 3 songs I wanted to put on, but I couldn't. So it's Impossible by Lacey Strum, who is, and I guess was, and now is again, the front woman for Flyleaf, like metal band. Blew out her vocal cords singing I'm So Sick, which is like a crazy story in my opinion. But she, the song is, every day it's a miracle because I'm seeing everybody around me living the impossible. And it's upbeat, but it's still like power. It's still like somber in a way. And obviously it's rock, like I said. So I love that one. That one's pretty, like, I can't not feel good feeling it. And then tapering from that one to also feeling pretty good is What's Up Danger from Into the Spider-Verse. When he was getting his suit, that song that's playing, What's Up Danger, is probably my favorite. Like, crank it, turn the subs up, hit hard, because it's just like, what's up Danger? Like, I don't care. It doesn't matter. I'll take all comers. Doesn't make a difference. One of my favorite lyrics from way back in the day from a T.I. song is, I don't care if it's coming from me, I put up the house and bet the odds. And I've always resonated with that, like that way of thinking. Like, like I said, Derby was the same way. My 5 versus your 5, and I'm gonna pick my 5 every single day of the week. So, like, that's another song that just hits me. My number 5, and this one is, if I could have a theme song, like I could just walk into a room, or as I walked around, it just played, like, and people had to suffer through it, is Superstition by Stevie Wonder. Like, you can't not feel like a bad motherfucker just like when that song, like, I love it so much. But it's just one of those songs that just got so much power, so much energy to it. And when I hear it, I remember being a kid and like not knowing how to dance, bouncing around in my living room, dancing around, because it was just like, yeah. And now, like, I kind of understand the words a little bit more, and I kind of can appreciate, like, its meaning, but also its like timelessness. So that is my 5.
Into the Spider-Verse was a bomb ass soundtrack. And
It really was.
I will check out the ones that I haven't heard before.
Yeah.
On our playlist.
I like it. Yeah, I'm super excited about like listening to this playlist when we combine them, because I think it'll be like I said, it's eclectic, and I appreciate that. And I'm glad that we didn't break the rules and we did 5. However, we might get to do like 2 or 3 honorable mentions, just simply because I don't know how hard of a time you had, but I fucking struggled. So that sucked. Didn't like that. So you heard our both good and bad coping mechanisms and coping habits. You heard about my daughter's field trip. Heard about Caitlin's reaction to hearing our first interview when we way back when had never met each other, never had a conversation prior to that. And now you heard our playlists. So now it's time for my favorite segment. That's what she said.
What is up? Because you haven't heard me talk enough yet today. Again, thanks, Matt, for giving me a chunk of show where I just get to say whatever the hell I want. Like, I don't do that the rest of the hour that we've already been recording. But today I want to talk more about my online shopping and, kind of moving away from that and when I realized it was a problem. So let me tell you something. I am a fallen fan of a brand called Stony Clover Lane. Stony Clover Lane makes luxury travel items.
Okay.
Yeah. So they literally sell pouches. They sell pouches that come in various colors, various sizes, and they also have patches that you can customize with all the different colors and all all these different like collabs with brands. They've done a lot of stuff with Disney lately. All the things. I actually have a notebook sitting on my desk that I'll hold up, even though if you're just listening, Here's this. It's a leather notebook that has KMU in pink patches on the front, outlined in gold glitter. It's cute. I'm not going to tell you how much this costs, because they are a high-end luxury item company. So I realized that my online shopping was a problem when I saw a correlation with buying a pouch every time I was feeling big feelings. Again, it's a dopamine hit. I had full control of the situation. I paid a lot of money and made a huge collection. When I noticed and finally admitted that it was a problem, I also had a falling out with the brand. They are no longer. I found the brand literally the first week into quarantine. And it was, it started as a community thing. We had live streams that we would like hang out on Instagram. And the brand is founded by 2 sisters, Libby and Kendall Glazer. The Glazer family owns the Emirates soccer club or something. And they also own the Tampa Bay Bucks. So they're not hurting for money. This was just like their little side project or whatever, which is no judgment, whatever. They have started to price out people. They've raised their prices. And then they also have had awful customer service. So I am now a fallen fan of Stoney Clover Lane. When I realized that this was a huge part of my identity. Like, all my friends knew me as the Stoney Clover Lane obsessed person, which is so dumb to like say out loud, that I was completely obsessed with this brand and the pouches. But I was in Facebook groups, Matt. We would talk about drops together. We would get hyped, or like as soon as a collection would launch at 10 a.m., we'd all like jabber on Facebook and be like, what did you get? What sold out in your cart? Like, there's a lot of hype about this brand. But when I was ready to shed that very materialistic part of myself, I purged all of it instantly. Like, it's a big thing to turn around and like sell your whole collection. And I was like, no, listen, I've dropped a fuck ton of money on this collection, but what I really want to do is use this as an opportunity to do something good. So on one of my Facebook groups, I posted and said, if you are a mother, or you know, furry or human, both count, and you struggle with spending money on yourself, send me a DM. I want your address. I will cover shipping. I just want to mail you a chunk of my collection. I
love you.
I ended up loving on over 30 different moms by mailing them a chunk of my collection. And I finally got to the hardest part, which was this weekend. I had a giant duffel bag. And Matt, you might roll your eyes, but let me tell you, this duffel bag was the prettiest duffel bag I'd ever seen in my life. It was in this pink and white floral print. It was limited edition. This super bougie brand, Love Shack Fancy and Stoney Clover Lane, did a collab together. It was super limited edition. It was like one of the first pieces that I ever bought from them at the beginning of the pandemic. I filled that duffel bag with every other patch and pouch that I had left over in my collection after loving on over 30 moms, because it was a nutcase and had that much. And I filled it with also clothes that had the tags on it still. Matt, I had a Lily Pulitzer dress that I shoved in this duffel that would I paid like over $100 for. And I was, for me, it wasn't about making the money. It was the message of using it as an opportunity to do a really kind thing for somebody that maybe struggles to pay for themselves, but also to immediately get this clutter out of my life. Because every time I would see a piece of it, it would bring up like awful feelings. And for me, I had one of the moms that actually lived like 30 minutes away from me here in Missouri. So she was my last one on purpose because, she's a fellow Missouri mom. Yeah. I loved to be able to love on her in that way. But this specific duffel bag was like the core of my materialistic part of my personality that was obsessed with that brand. And as soon as it was over with, I called my husband and I was like, hey, duffel's gone. Love Shack Fancy duffel is gone. All of this to say that our personal identities go through iterations. They go through changes over time. For me, when that personal identity chunk changes, immediately I had to clear that out of my life and clear out the clutter. I'm still going through clothes. I'm still going through other things. So yes, shopping for me has been a super unhealthy coping mechanism. But when you put a dollar amount to how much that I've spent burying my own feelings in a quick dopamine hit, oh, Lord. So, all of this to say, have grace with yourself when you're going through these struggles. Know that maybe for you have to go through this necessary struggle for a fucking reason. That whatever is going to come after it, after you've processed through that struggle and made that conviction yourself, is totally worth it. And also, if you also struggle with online shopping and you need a pal or you need an accountability buddy, message me on Instagram. I would love to do that for you. I've, started to mass market myself as everybody's cheerleader. Like, I just want to be supportive of other people, and like, life's hard. This shit fucking sucks sometimes. We can also have healthier coping mechanisms than literally pissing away our money on stupid shit like fucking pouches and patches and limited edition this and FOMO that and all the other things that come with it. So no, I won't have a Chanel purse maybe ever in my life, which is why I no longer fall in line with the ideals of that brand. But also, What fascinates you now might not be good for you, might not be something that you're fascinated with in the next iteration of your personal identity. So with that, that's what she freaking said this week. Self high five.
I love it. I love it. You're amazing. I think that I obviously had no idea that that's a thing that you were doing, but that's such a me thing to do that I can't, there's no words to express how happy that makes me to hear that that's what you did. One of my favorite things to do is do nice things for people, and just I'm not going to take credit. I'm not going to go tell somebody, hey, guess what I did? I'm just going to go do this nice thing. And, it might be something as simple as I scrape your car windows. So I might do half the block, and I got the time. I'm just going to scrape all your windows so you don't have to worry about it. So you get up, your car's cleaned off, and you're like, damn, who did that? What happened?
That's really sweet. Yeah. But see,
it's just something simple. Yeah. I just love that that's what you did. I love that that's why you did it. And it's one of those, Pandora's box has all those things in it. And then, that all the sins all come back to the same thing, that pride is hard to beat, and ego is hard to beat, because no matter what you do, you're almost always going to be doing it for some sort of personal gain. And you pivoted off of that. And the personal gain was releasing that part of you into wherever it needs to be to almost, molt into what you are now. And
I love that word. Love Absolutely fitting to say molt.
This is that moment where one of us is frozen, and I think it's funny.
Oh,
there we go.
Absolutely fitting to say molt. I just love that you use that word passively in a sentence.
I was gonna say shed your skin like a snake, but then that makes you sound bad. So I was like, molt, butterflies molt, right? That's what it is. Yeah. But yeah, no, I love it, and I love your that's what she said. That was good, and I'm sure somebody out there also, has a thing that they struggle with similarly to that, and I think that what you bring with every that's what she said so far has very much been a good food for thought kind of thing. And I appreciate that. I'm glad you were doing good. No.
If you also have conquered any awful coping mechanisms, let us know. I want to know, because I also want to give people the opportunity to champion themselves. Be like, this is something I really struggled with, and look at me. I'm a badass bitch who conquered this and also made my own personal convictions, grew from it, and here's another opportunity for all of us to learn from each other, because that is the point of having fun here in Holmes Room.
Exactly. Can't stress that enough. So, like she just said, go out there and make a difference in the world, but make a difference for yourself. Champion yourself, and leave us reviews, because we need them and we would appreciate it. Also, tell us what you do to cope. Tell us what you think is good to do. Tell us what you think was not so good to do. Tell us what you want to hear. Tell us that we are two idiots on the internet. I don't know.
Yes.
Either way.
That too.
Thanks again for being here. I'm so glad that we did this episode, because I wasn't sure how fun it was going to be originally, and I'm glad we made it fun.
Yeah.
So here's to the next one.
All right. We will see you all next week.
The bell is about to ring. If you want to drop us a voice message or simply ask a question, you can do that by clicking the link in the show notes below. Be sure to leave us a 5-star review. It helps more people find us. Theme music by Kinsey. More music available on Spotify. Remember, every day is a class. Go learn something.